Have you ever found yourself trying to focus on something, yet at the same time, needing to be ready for anything? Imagine doing this every day, constantly shifting between being fully immersed and being alert for interruptions. Sounds tough, right? But this is exactly what many autistic people face daily. The term safe mode feels like a concentration paradise, while flexible mode seems like a recipe for mental overload. What if I told you that understanding these differences could be the key to improving your daily life, whether you're autistic or not? Today, we're going to explore these two modes and how they affect our energy, focus, and, of course, our emotional health. Get ready, because you're about to learn more about your mind than you probably imagined. Topic 01: Introduction to Safe and Flexible Modes. You know that feeling when you stumble upon a term that just seems to explain everything you've been feeling but couldn't quite put into words? That's exactly what Annie Kotz did with the term safe mode and flexible mode in her book, What I Mean When I Say I Am Autistic. For many autistic individuals, these concepts are more than just neat labels, they're a true roadmap to understanding daily life. These modes provide a clear view of how the life of an autistic person can swing between deep concentration and the constant need to be alert. It's no wonder that, when reading about this, the feeling is like discovering the key to understanding so many things. Now, safe mode is almost like finding your own little oasis, that moment when you can fully dive into something without worrying about being interrupted. It's when the outside world seems to disappear, and you can focus 100%, free from the fear that something will pull you out at any moment. For autistic people, this state is precious because it offers a mental peace that's hard to find elsewhere. But, beware, because this feeling of security has its delicate side. After all, it's easy to snap out of this mode if something external disrupts the balance. On the other hand, flexible mode is the exact opposite. It's when you're constantly on alert, ready for anything that comes your way. When you're in flexible mode, your brain is always in alert mode, constantly prepared to respond to whatever's next. While this mode can be useful, it comes at a cost. Instead of being fully immersed in one task, you're burning energy just trying to stay on top of everything happening around you. For autistic individuals, this constant ready for anything can leave both the body and mind tense, always on edge. And if you've ever been there, you know how draining that can be. Now, you start to see the big picture. How do you balance these two modes without losing your way? The real challenge is constantly switching between being deeply focused and being ready for distractions. Let's dive deeper into this in the next topic. Stick around. Topic 02: Understanding Safe Mode. Safe mode is like finding your own personal corner of the world, where you can really focus and get lost in what you're doing. It's that moment of total immersion, where your mind can explore without interruptions. For many autistic people, this state is vital in handling sensory overload. Imagine a child playing, completely immersed in their game, not caring about anything else around them. That's what safe mode feels like. And it's not just about being calm. It's a place where a person feels they can be 100% themselves, without the fear of being interrupted or overwhelmed by external stimuli. However, safe mode isn't a fortress you can't escape from. In fact, it's fragile. Any interruption, no matter how small, can break that concentration and pull you back into the chaos of the real world. For instance, a simple text message or a conversation in the background can be enough to snap you out of focus. For autistic people, this is a real risk. And getting in and out of this mode isn't always easy. Being so immersed in something can make any distraction feel almost unbearable, which only makes the environment more challenging. So, the question is, how do you maintain this concentration state without the outside world pulling you back into reality? But safe mode isn't just about control over what's happening around you. It's also about giving your brain space to rest. Think of your brain like a muscle. It needs time to recover in order to function properly again. So, having that time to fully focus is key for anyone who wants to do something with quality and depth. Of course, as with everything in life, finding a balance between being totally immersed and being interrupted is an art few master. Now, let's stop and think, how can you maximize this safe mode in your own life? How can you avoid distractions and truly benefit from those moments of deep focus? And how do you deal with inevitable interruptions? We'll talk more about this in the next topic. Topic 03: Understanding flexible mode. Flexible mode is like being on your toes, ready to jump at any moment. While safe mode allows you to dive deep into something, flexible mode demands that you stay alert to everything happening around you. When someone is in this mode, it's as if their mind is split between what they're doing and what might happen next. For autistic individuals, this alertness is often necessary because the environment can be unpredictable. You know that moment when you're trying to focus on a task, but the noise from traffic or a conversation in the next room makes it impossible? That's flexible mode in action. It's like walking a tightrope, always ready for whatever comes next. The main advantage of flexible mode is that it allows for quick adaptation. You're not stuck in one task, you can switch gears without losing too much focus. But, like everything in life, it has a price. For many, especially for autistic people, staying in this state of constant alertness is draining. There's no space for deep focus, and your mind is constantly shifting between tasks, which makes everything feel scattered. The mental fatigue from constantly adjusting can build up quickly. Imagine trying to stay engaged in something, but constantly having to juggle multiple things at once. This is the cost of flexibility. For example, let's say you're working on something, and suddenly a child starts yelling from the other side of the house. Or someone asks you to handle something urgent. Flexible mode is what allows you to handle that without losing your cool. But deep down, you know that being in this mode, too much comes at a cost. You might be able to respond to those interruptions, but your mind gets overloaded. And that's a common struggle for many autistic people. This constant need to be flexible can lead to burnout. You can't be 100% flexible all the time without paying the price. So, how do you handle this mode? How do you prepare yourself to be ready for anything without letting it take a toll on your mental and emotional well-being? Well, let's dive deeper into that challenge in the next section. Topic 04: Challenges of switching between modes. Here's the tricky part: how do you switch between safe mode and flexible mode without feeling completely drained? It seems simple, but it's not. For many autistic people, shifting between these modes isn't smooth, it's mentally exhausting. In safe mode, you're so immersed in what you're doing that switching to flexible mode feels like a shock to your system. And in flexible mode, you're constantly dealing with interruptions, which leaves your body and mind tense. It's like trying to turn a key in a lock that stubbornly won't open, no matter how hard you try. The transition can be difficult and tiring. Let's be real, life, especially if you're a parent or have other responsibilities, demands constant flexibility. But the problem comes when your brain is in safe mode and is suddenly forced to switch to flexible mode. The tension it creates feels like you're on the edge of a mental stretch, ready to snap. The issue here isn't just the difficulty in switching modes, it's how this transition affects your energy and emotional balance. While you're in flexible mode, your brain is basically defending itself the whole time, without a chance to recharge as you would in safe mode. And that constant tension can lead to frustration, exhaustion, and even a feeling of being on autopilot, unable to truly connect with yourself. But, of course, life doesn't wait for you to be 100% in safe mode all the time. If you're a parent, a professional, or just someone with lots of responsibilities, switching between these two modes becomes inevitable. The real secret here is learning to recognize when your brain needs a break and when it needs flexibility to handle what's coming. Sometimes, finding this balance is harder than it sounds. The key is to give your brain the rest it needs while also understanding that flexibility is essential. It takes time and practice, but trust me, once you start to grasp these modes, handling life's demands becomes much easier. Topic 5: Cognitive and emotional strain. Now, let's talk about the real impact these modes have on your energy and emotional well-being. After all, switching between safe and flexible modes isn't just physically tiring, it's mentally exhausting too. Imagine this: you're in safe mode, fully immersed, and suddenly have to switch to flexible mode. What happens? Your brain starts working overtime, trying to handle external demands while your body and emotions begin to feel overwhelmed. It's not just your mind that suffers, your emotions start to play into it as well. This constant back and forth between the two modes creates a mental and emotional exhaustion that builds up over time, affecting everything from your ability to focus to your reactions to people and situations. And this doesn't just happen once or twice. In fact, it's a pattern many autistic people deal with daily. The difficulty of staying focused on what truly matters while constantly being interrupted leads to a state of mental fatigue. And this exhaustion isn't just something you can brush off. It affects clarity of thought, decision-making ability, and in some cases, even emotional stability. What seemed like an easy task at the start of the day can turn into a mental nightmare. For example, a simple trip to work or a conversation with a friend can suddenly become much more challenging than it needs to be. This happens because your mind is constantly shifting between these modes, never having enough time to truly rest. And it doesn't stop there. This overload of information and emotions also affects your physical health. The tension in your body increases, anxiety becomes more prominent, and stress can be hard to manage. But here's the thing: by understanding how these modes work, you start to realize that, in some cases, prevention is key. Identifying moments when your mind is about to get overloaded is a crucial first step in preventing burnout. The trick is to find ways to give your brain the rest it needs before the exhaustion sets in. Conclusion: now that you have the tools to understand how to navigate between safe mode and flexible mode, the big question is, how do you apply this to your everyday life? How do you make the most of your focused moments, while also staying prepared for the curveballs life throws your way? The truth is, knowledge is power, but it's the practice that will change your life. And here's a thought-provoking question: how much time are you spending trying to fit into a world that demands flexibility, but doesn't give you enough time to enjoy those moments of peace and focus you truly need? Maybe it's time to rethink your strategies. How about starting by recognizing moments when you're transitioning between these modes and adjusting your expectations accordingly? Oh, and don't forget to leave a comment below sharing how you handle these mode shifts in your life. And, of course, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. There's so much more to learn and apply.